Gentlemen, we now have a very interesting presentation. Uh, we have a career banker, a very distinguished career banker, Mr. K. Ramkumar, who's going to talk to you for the next 20 minutes on delivering an HR-led transformation, people's priorities for the new now. And he now is the founder CEO of Leadership Center. A few lines about Mr. Ramkumar before the gentleman takes over. He's the founder of Leadership Center, an organization dedicated to building world class thought and practices in the domain of leadership, consulting, research, and development. And he retired as the executive director on the board of ICICI Bank, not a stranger at all to the bankers community. Was on the boards of ICICI Pru, ICICI Ventures, and prior to his retirement, was the president of the ICICI Foundation, the ICICI Group's CSR arm. Ram, as he likes to be called, has worked for Hindustan Aeronautics, Hindustan Unilever, and ICI prior to his 15-year-long innings at ICICI Bank, and has a total stint of over 32 years across wide ranges of roles, HR, business, and other areas. And yet his passion has been with respect to leadership development with specific emphasis on how to help individuals expand their leadership capabilities and organizations strengthen their leadership pipeline. So I'm not going to get into the more illustrious, it runs into several paragraphs. Suffices to say that the speaker should get more time with the audience. Ramkumar sir, all over to you, sir. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Dev Shankar. It's such a great honor that to be part of this body. I used to be an annual attendee of this conference uh, with when Saurabh was from BCG was somebody who would now let me go. Right, you'll say you'll have to come. So I had to sit through the whole day and learn sitting through these conferences. So it's a lovely feeling. It's almost like coming back home, both to the bankers community and with I know that the BCG's association with this has been long, right? And you've contributed a lot.
Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
so let me, without much ado, I went through this. So interestingly, mine, I'll pick up where my colleagues, right, Shirang, Rajkamal, Vinay, right, all of them had left, Alok, all of them had left last. So this is an interesting terminology was put on there called bionic. And uh, start of the program in the morning, there was this piece about rebound and resilience. And there was something about productivity, right? So I was just sitting and asking a question about by saying, what is the leadership HR can provide for transformation in the domain of financial services, banks, the whole area? Why only limit ourselves to banking? One of the interesting questions which kept coming, because in the last 6 months, I have learned to really engage people in a virtual medium. So one of the first questions which keeps coming up when you walk up to people and say that we can do many things on a digital media, there's an interesting disconnect there. When we are called upon to conferences and when we are called upon on the stage to speak, we are all fantastic digital evangelists, outstanding digital evangelists. But when we are called upon to really practice, use the digital medium, we become the born again skeptical people. I'm not saying there is a dishonesty there. There is no dishonesty here. It is just that the human mind is so complex that when I'm called upon to advocate something, I stand on the pulpit and I preach. But when I am called to adopt the same thing for myself, for my institution, suddenly the merit problems, the merit challenges, which have their roots in the past, which trap me to the past. The chief among that being habit. We are all prisoners of habits. So the first objection, when I do my leadership development program with a lot of organizations, I was doing it with a couple of large insurance companies, and the salespeople there in the insurance companies, some of the pretty senior people coming and saying, "Sir, this digital medium we are losing human touch, right? I find it very difficult to really do my selling very well here. I remember very early when I was being interviewed for Hindustan Unilever in 1990, and I was asked a question, how do you see the human resources function? Those days it was called personnel. I said personnel has a duality, or now we call it human resources, right? One is we are the sales function which sells the brand of the organization for the human resources in the world, right? Second, which is very interesting, we are the people who bring we humanize the workplace. It is not we humanize the workplace. We are the evangelists for a culture that humanizes the workplace. Otherwise, workplace becomes very mechanical. Why do I say this? The word performance is a word coming from physics. So, higher performance happens in science when we are mechanical, the robotics of it. When we convert human beings into robots, when we convert human beings to be able to unthinkingly and unfailingly, without mistake, execute, we have the best productivity you can ever get. However, very early, right? We are talking about the 40s, 30s, and the 50s. Psychologists came back and said, the moment you do that, it has a bearing on human motivation, and it has a bearing on voluntary release of ingenuity, creativity, and thoughtful action. So it becomes a trade-off. Now, the important thing for the human resources function is how do we shepherd our organizations into this digital transformation, which has got accelerated in the last 6 months. The digital adoption or the digital evangelism has been there since the late 90s during the big bubble which burst the internet era. However, it has been tardy over 10 years. There's nothing that we have today we did not have in 2000. When Srirang talked about all that we were talking about in ICICI Bank in the early 2000s, there is no new tool which we have. We did not have it in 2000, 2005, 2010. It is just that we talked, and we did not adapt it for 10 years, including the CEOs, I will have to say this. Right? We were tardy, including the business heads. We had, for example, right, today, you don't need a teller in a bank. Now, do we have the courage to say we take the teller out? Instead, we put the automated machine in front. A machine which can take 10,000 rupees can take 10 lakh of rupees. A machine which can dispense 10,000 rupees can dispense 10 lakhs of rupees. And today we have controls to do that. So when we talked about the first automated branches, Prabhadevi branch was the first automated branch in India, ICICI's, right? The biggest objections came from the business people. So the question we have to ask at this point of it, they said that customers now will not have human touch, right? They would be engaging with the machine. But look at it. For 100 years in the name of productivity, we were working hard to convert human beings to machines. There we did not worry about human robots who would be pushed by the TAT, sitting in branches and call center, want to turn around the customer in 3 minutes so that her productivity is maintained. I am guilty of doing all that. In the name of productivity, we were doing all that. So we converted human beings into robo for 100 years. Digital, no digital, we made human beings to robots. We wanted a customer to move out instead of spending more time with our officers. Why? Because we can handle more customers. There was a time when some of the bigger branches in India had a footfall about 1,000, 1,200 people. Some went up to 1,500 people. And these are 10, 12 people branches, and people didn't go for lunch. I know young people in ICICI foregoing lunch out of commitment, eating at 4 o'clock, eating at 5 o'clock. We converted these people. So the biggest HR-led transformation is how do we, during the digital transformation, adopt digital, and how do we create a culture where neither the customer nor the employee feels there is a lack of human touch. Human touch is never physical. Huh? If you ask yourself a question, how often do we hug our employees or customers? At best, we shake hands. Most of the times, we don't have time to shake hands with our employees. Or when we go to a branch visit, we should, but we don't. How many customers shake hands when they come into the branches? Anyway, the ATM, which came in, Mr. Kamath, the visionary, right, who scaled up the ATMs in India, right, had come in and so the point is, human touch is not the physical touch. Human touch is how do you build sensitivity? That's why I like the word bionic, which whoever has designed this, my kudos to that person. Right? I'm a very tough guy. I don't use appreciations, where it doesn't belong. So I'll have to say fantastic design. So bionic. So either bionic can limit itself to the biology of the physiology, or bionics can move to psychology. So digital obviates the need for physiology. You don't need anymore to your body. You need your mind. You need your emotions and your cognition. Now, the question is, are we going to mindlessly adopt bots? I heard that in the last session. Don't misunderstand me when I say. I use the word mindlessly. I'm not saying don't adopt bots. If you mindlessly adopt bots, you take the human touch out. If you mindfully use bots to augment drudgery, bots have to be there where employees and customers do not expect or do not want any human emotion to be involved. So you have to intelligently deploy bots. Bots cannot be there for grievance handling. Bots cannot be there when you're handling customer complaints, which are not process related, but it has to do with how a customer has been left feeling. So the HR-led transformation, it is the understanding of the human psyche, which we as HR people bring on the table. We will have to offer it to our colleagues in business. Help them engineer, build into the digital processes a human touch, so that at any point of a time, whether it is a customer, whether it is an employee, whether it is a channel partner, why? It could even be a regulator you'll start engaging digitally. So if digital engagement is reduced to mindless reports, mindless bots, chasing mindless productivity. I'm repeatedly using the word mindless. Mind does not mean only thought. Mind is the seat of thought and emotion. So what culture? How would you humanize the digital transformation of the industry? Are we thinking it through? Mothers found it 25 years back when Skype came. Many mothers, right? I remember my mom is only an SSLC pass. Many aren't even that. But when Skype came, they felt they could get in touch with their children and transmit, feel, experience. These are the words, huh? Transmit, feel, experience human love, human compassion, human care, human respect, human valuing. They're all human, huh? Bots cannot do it. I'm a digital evangelist. I'm an old COBOL programmer. I ran technology for ICICI. I ran innovation for ICICI. Yet I will repeatedly say, if you don't engineer into your digital world, whatever it is, it's a product, process, whatever it is, the humanizing experience, and it's possible. So in the last 7 months, Leadership Center, through virtual medium, have run leadership development without trading off anything we would have done in the classroom. Trust me, every exercise you could have done, every human emotion you could experience sitting together, and you could still sit together and experience it like you're doing right now, experiencing my intensity and emotion. This medium does not filter. This medium does not say, I look at your face, your designation, your level in the organization, and accordingly I will transmit human feeling and create the experience on the other side. This medium is agnostic of every discrimination. So if there is one medium in the world which lends itself to unfiltered human touch, it is the digital medium. It takes nothing out. The authenticity you bring in an engagement, the connection you make to people's hearts and minds and brains, both, this medium can do, provided, like, if I remember correctly, was it Vinay or was it Sriram who talked about imagination? If I'm not talking about designation, function called human resources function. The people who are responsible for the human processes in an organization. Customer service is a human process. Sales is a human process. Purchase is a human process. Not just handling employees. So if HR function thinks of itself as recruitment, training, performance management, it is restricting itself. The HR function in an organization is the function which brings the expertise of human feelings, human experience, lend it to your colleagues in business, shape the internal organization which is sensitive, which has a human touch, which does not reduce employees to bots, which brings care, respect, and value to every employee. When you do that internally, you can brilliantly transform the organization internally, and that transformation will be HR-led to transform the experience in the marketplace. Internal transformation, which does not result in external transformation of the marketplace, is useless. It's a fetish and has no value. When you transform the internal capabilities which are digital led but human capable, okay, digital led but human capable, then magic happens. The magic of the human touch, the brilliant magic, not the hand, Michelangelo's beauty of creation of man. Go to Sistine Chapel and see the finger of God and the finger of man, I should say human, it could have been a woman, and it could have been a transgender, I don't care. That touch and there is that electric current, there is the lightning. In a year when electricity, in a period when Michelangelo didn't understand, couldn't have seen about electricity, he drew it. You can do that, but that requires you to imagine it. That it requires you to engineer it into your organization, not in the digital. Engineer in the minds of your people. Help them change their habits, renegotiate their beliefs. That's the next session, values, culture, and beliefs. So, the biggest HR-led transformation that is waiting to happen, not just in the banking industry, in every commercial organization and every organization in the world, is how do we humanize the digital world, which connects now, and yet harvest the productivity, which you all talked. 50% of the time went in traveling every time. You take the 50% of the time which went into traveling out right now. 50% of the time is available to make human connections. Now, even when you're traveling, you can make that connection right now. That's the beauty with the mobile in your hand today. But how do I do it without the person feeling burdened? Without the world of work encroaching into the world of his home? You have to imagine all this. These are the challenges. Work from home is brilliant. But when I speak to people, it says that the world of work, when it encroaches into the world of home, it places another kind of challenges. Answer is not work from home. The answer is how do you humanize the workplace? So it is where I want to leave you with this thought. Can the people who understand human process, the human mind, thought, emotion, and action well, lead the transformation of a humanized digital world through which we reap the productivity? Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I hope at least I provoked you to think, which is what you can do in 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So that's a career banker who packed in a lot of punch and conveyed the right strong messages to his fellow brethren of HR community professionals here.